The console gaming experience has always been pretty straightforward. You buy your game, you put your game in your console, and you start playing. PC gaming, however, has always offered hobbyists the way to tweak their experience to the way they want, even at the expense of starting their games sooner. You may need to turn on a feature in the BIOS, update your operating system, update your drivers, or tweak settings in proprietary software for your GPU or your CPU, even before you jump into the actual game settings. Now, the Steam Deck is Valve's portable gaming PC, which offers plenty of opportunity to tweak things as much as you want, but does something super interesting that makes tweaking those settings very approachable. And so the big question I'm going to answer in this video is, how well does the Steam Deck do as a console? And more specifically, if you should get one if you're a console gamer. The Steam Deck is big. It doesn't practically fit into a pocket, so it's best for backpacks and bags. But the exposed control sticks and contoured hand grips make the deck, well, not as slim as a Nintendo Switch. So you end up traveling with the deck in its hard-shelled carrying case. The case is pretty nice, but nearly doubles the volume that the deck would take by itself. So when traveling with the deck, be prepared for some extra bulk in your bag. In spite of the size, however, the deck feels great in the hands. On each side of the 7-inch touchscreen are contoured grips that naturally fit my hands and keep my fingers right where they need to be. The horizontal button layout makes moving between the sticks, action buttons, and D-pad very comfortable. The shoulder, trigger, and paddle buttons are well placed because of those contoured grips, even if the paddle buttons are a little too clicky for me. Now, a really cool feature of the Steam Deck's controls are the haptic feedback trackpads. I haven't used them while playing a game, but I do use them simultaneously for typing, which I think is one of the best typing experiences I've had on a device that didn't have a dedicated keyboard. Now, as comfortable and somewhat portable the Steam Deck is, that portability is a real constraint to performance and battery life. I'm not going to go over performance numbers in this video. There are plenty of other great creators who have put out videos going into the hard numbers about performance when comparing the Steam Deck to other systems. So if you do care about those hard numbers, I encourage you to go check those videos out. But from my playing, the closer you get to AAA titles, you should expect your battery to last around 1 to 2.5 hours, depending on how you configure your deck for that game. As you play less demanding games, you can get closer to 6 hours. And unlike a PC, where you'd have to open up the case and swap out an SSD to expand your storage, the Steam Deck has a micro SD card, making it super easy and accessible for anyone to expand their storage. So at this point, the Steam Deck is somewhat portable, has decent battery life for the breadth of games that it's expected to run, and is super comfortable to hold and play. But there is one thing that I think is the most interesting about the Steam Deck, and that is SteamOS. SteamOS is Valve's Linux-based operating system that does a few very interesting and important things. It runs games for Windows through layers of open source compatibility software and provides a great UI that surfaces your game library, connects easily to Steam Store, and allows you to configure software and hardware specs in-game on the fly. Now, first off, there are just a lot of games made for Windows that just won't run on the Steam Deck. That's why Valve introduced 4 tiers of Steam Deck compatibility that make it easy for you to know how a game would run on Steam Deck. And at the time of this recording, there are over 3,000 verified or playable games on Steam Deck. For context, the Wikipedia game list for the Nintendo Switch states that there are over 4,400 games available on the console. But that's over 5.5 years. While the Steam Deck has been out for 7 months, that is a huge gap. And real credit goes out to Valve for preparing their library for the Steam Deck so well. And I am very confident they will continue to add games to either playable or verified. Now, do you remember how I was talking about the console experience and the PC experience? SteamOS bridges the gap between these two paradigms by allowing you to just click a big green play button to start your games, but also enabling a lot of performance options that can be configured on the fly and saved per game. What that means is you don't have to spend hours configuring your system or configuring your games. You can just press the big green play button and get started. And if you're curious, you can change the FPS and refresh rate or manually cap watts and clock speeds super easily from that quick access button. But as great as SteamOS is, even now, there are still some bugs that come up from time to time. In one case, after having charged the deck all night, the deck just wouldn't turn on. After I came home and plugged in the deck again, I was able to hit the power button and the deck just lit up with 100% battery life. I have no idea to this day why that happened, but it's something that was just really frustrating at the time. Another small note is that a playable game may require user to manually select a community controller config, needing to use the touchscreen to navigate a launcher, etc. From my experience, these are minor annoyances that are carryovers from the PC world, but SteamOS does a decent job of masking these issues, so I wouldn't worry too much about them. So in the beginning of this video, I pointed out how between console gaming and PC gaming, there's a really big difference between the gaming experience itself. Steam Deck does such a great job of melding these two experiences together to give you an experience that's really frictionless in a lot of cases, but still offers so many ways to tweak your system in such an approachable and accessible way. And so to answer the question, how well does it do as a console? Well, it does pretty well. And to answer the other question of, should you get this if you're a console gamer? I'd actually expand that question to say, should you get it if you like playing games? And the answer is a hard yes. The Steam Deck can play a ton of games, and so there's a strong chance you're going to find something you like on the Steam library that's either verified or playable. The only people that I think shouldn't get the Steam Deck are those that actually don't care about portability. You see, because the Steam Deck is a portable system, you give up a lot of performance for the sake of carrying it around, and you can't really expect to play 4K gaming at 120 frames per second on this thing. So if you care about portability, I wouldn't waste your time. But for everyone else, which I think is really anyone who likes playing games, this is an absolute win. And ultimately, I don't need to be a PC gamer to enjoy this gaming PC. With that, thank you for watching. My name is Maxwell with a W instead of a W, and I'll catch you in the next one.